I am still setting up real quick, giving people time to join. Hello, Woodsy. Hello, hello. I'm just setting up real quick, making some final adjustments, giving people time to join here. How is everyone doing? How are y'all? Y'all ready? You have your stencil placed down, ready to go? Let me know where you're at here on the process. I'm just adjusting the camera over here a little bit as best I can. What's up, Justin? Good day, Justin. Uh, What's up, Justin? Good day, good day. Hello, Elaine Carter. Good day. Thank you for joining. I did a video on a skull scorpion. Oh, that's awesome. Like a video of you tattooing it? Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm definitely going to check that out here. I'll go ahead and visit your channel. Just aligning? That's cool. That's how I used to do it too. I would do one part and then the other. All right. I am set up here. Let me know if you all can hear me okay. Let me know if you can see. Everything's okay. Is it blurry or are we ready to go? I'm drinking the last of my shake here. Okay, all right, that's good, that's good, that's good. Now, I don't know how many people are going to be in this stream here, so we'll see how it turns out. Tapping in from South Africa. What's up? Hey, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. It's a long ways from here. I am in Texas, so I appreciate your support. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just kick this off. This is going to be a live stream that will be available to watch after on my YouTube channel. So if you don't make this tattoo session, or if you're kind of like joining later on, that's fine. This will be here for later consumption. I want to start by listing off the gear that I'm going to be using, and then from there I'm going to move on into the actual technical application. So first and foremost, for the gear, I'm going to be tattooing this on some Trueskin fake skin. This is just going to be a sheet of Trueskin. And then I believe I was using, I don't know the brand of stencil paper, but when I'm done with this video, I will leave all of my affiliate links in the description so you can check out all of the gear featured. I did print this with the MHTP 8008 thermal printer. For the main part of the design, like basically this entire main frame right here, all of that is going to go blacked out. And what I am going to do is I'm going to essentially kind of line it all with maybe a Quelle 11 round liner. And then from there, I'm gonna go back in there and pack in all the black everywhere else. That's how I'm gonna go about it. I feel most comfortable doing that. There is an area right here that requires a bit of a point right here. So when I reach that area, I may switch over to like a 5 round liner. I'm not too sure, but that's how I think I'm gonna go about it as of now. So that's pretty much where I am at in terms of the color. I'm probably gonna be using a larger round mag, like this 13 round mag, or maybe even an Inkclaw. As you can see, this is gonna be three round liners at the tip of this needle right here. So I may use those for like these tighter areas. As I go, I'm gonna list off everything that I will be using. So not to worry, you can kind of match up the gear as close as you'd like on your end. Just wanna kind of give you a rundown of what I am using. I'm going to start with the black, and I'm going to be using Intends Formula 23 to apply the black to this design here. I'm also going to be using the Inkclaw Black Tortoise tattoo machine. And I'm starting off with the Quelle 11 round liner. Allow me to kind of adjust my needle depth here and fix my settings accordingly. If you need to make any last adjustments to your setup or anything like that, feel free to do that now. And essentially, this is going to be the outcome right here. This is what we are going for. I am going to be doing color as well within this session right here. And for the color, I'm going to be using 3, but they are going to just vary a little bit. So I'm going to be using these colors from Mummy right here. I'm going to use a caramel, and then this one's going to be the crimson red, and then I'm going to use a golden yellow. And I'm going to kind of use those to mimic this. So I'm going to do the golden red for, I'm sorry, crimson red, forgive me, for this area. And then for this lighter area up here is going to be the golden yellow. And then for these darker areas, I'm going to go with the caramel. Now, if you don't have these colors, I completely understand. I would recommend just using whatever colors you have available. If you don't or not familiar with color at all, then you can kind of just use different tones of black. That will also work as well. Let me go ahead and catch up on comments here. For those who have joined me this morning, I appreciate you. What we're doing is we're going to be doing a step-by-step follow along here of this tattoo. If you can't stay through the whole session, not to worry. The stream will be available for watching later on my YouTube channel. Let's see here. I am in Austin. It's 3:30. Hey, that's awesome. Thank you, Woodsy. I appreciate you joining that late. I am in Texas, so it's 10:32 where I am right now. 10:32 a.m. Looks like a 7 or a 9 round liner. Yes, all good. Okay, thank you, Elaine. I'm going to try Ava cartridge needles. I haven't heard of those. Hey, Irish, thank you for joining. Welcome to the show, William. I appreciate everyone who's joining here. Thank you very much. Don't forget to tap that thumbs up, as it'll help my stream get to more people here. If anyone has any questions throughout the stream, please feel free to ask. Let me know. I'll go ahead and do my best to answer along the way. Josh says, how's it going? Can we send you a tattoo once it's finished and let us know how it did? Yeah, actually, that's perfect. You can definitely do that. I would encourage you to do so. If you want an email that you can send over your tattoos to when you're done, is going to be yuckmadethis@gmail.com. For this machine, I believe I'm running at a 4, so I am going to be using a 4mm stroke or a 4.2. I'm going to be using the black Tortoise for those who are just joining. And right now I'm using a Quelle 11 round liner, and that's going to be a 00 Quelle 11 round liner. It's raining in Wisconsin. Hey, that's awesome. Over here in Texas, it's actually really sunny. It's a beautiful day here in Texas, finally. Congrats on your first live. Hope these work out. Hey, thank you, Bone. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is definitely the first live follow along. I've gone live a couple of times, but this is the first time that we've done a step-by-step here. Kind of nervous, so we're going to see how it turns out. I can completely bomb it and mess this tattoo up. We'll see. I'm not too nervous about messing it up. If I do, I'll kind of learn from my mistakes. So there's no way around it but through it. Okay, so let's begin the technical process here. So from here, I'm going to run at a lower voltage because my machine has a harder of a hit. I'm going to run at around 4 volts, and that's where I am going to start. I feel comfortable at 4 volts. Depending on the machine that you're using, is going to determine the voltage that you need on your end. Lonnie says, should y'all be in church? Yes, sir. Okay, got you. Now, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to let me know. C says, love your YouTube videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, C. Thank you for joining. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically figure out my point A and B, figure out where I want to start. I typically start with the areas that are close to me and then kind of work my way around. So like, for example, if I'm on this side, I'm going to start in these areas right here and then work my way that way. So that way I have more room to work on the design as opposed to losing the stencil. I don't really want to ever risk, or if I could minimize any sort of stencil loss, I'm going to do so as best I can. And I feel like that's one way that I go about doing that. You may also want to have your reference nearby. I feel like that's really important. So we are in church tattoo. What's church? A lot of joking going on. Okay, so Here we go. Just to confirm, this is what we're gonna, actually, let me go back, not to confirm that, forgive me. So right here, this is going to be where we are working towards. I'm gonna start with all of this. You wanna make sure that you're referencing this so that way we don't place the black on the incorrect areas. Sam Given said, did I let my stencil dry, and if I did, how long? I actually placed my stencil down maybe about an hour or so ago, and I used a heat gun to dry it. I do have a full video on how I go about doing that. It's available on my YouTube channel, but that's how I did that. So I waited just a few moments. It wasn't long at all. I am just kind of setting up here. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm going to begin by packing in the black right here in this area. And to do that, I'm going to start by lining this. I was just confirming my first step here before I start telling you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go back for some more ink. If I feel like my voltage is too low, then I'm going to adjust accordingly. So from here, I'm going to identify my A and B, kind of fix my posture, my positioning, so that way I can commit to my line as cleanly as I can. And then I'm going to commit. One thing that's really important is I want to line and stay within the bounds of the line. This is going to be really important because this can kind of change the structural, I guess, structural integrity of the design if we're not paying attention to this. But I don't want to tattoo straight over the line. I kind of want to move it a little bit, nudge it over just a little bit this way and tattoo inside of the line, as you can see right here. So that way I'm not adding more of a width to this existing part of the design, if that makes sense. And I do hope that I'm getting my point across there, as that's really important. So the idea behind it is to not add any sort of width or change the integrity of the design here. So I navigated a little bit off, but that's fine. All of this is actually going to go packed in anyway. So what I'm going to do is kind of continue where I left off and taper in from right here. Now from here, I feel like I can kind of take my voltage up to maybe around 4.5 if I wanted, because 4 is a little bit paceful for me. I want to speed it up just a little bit. So once I committed to that first line, I can go ahead and kind of work the surrounding areas. Here's my next line right here. I'm going to do the same thing. So here's my point A. Identify my A point, and then I'm making my way to my B point, which is likely going to be a taper out over here on the end. And the reason why I chose to line it with a round liner first like this is so that way when I am packing, I have a bit more control. You can go straight for your round mag or your mag if you like, and go straight to packing and lining if you'd want to do that. I encourage you to kind of make the choices as you see fit that are comfortable for you. And if there's any questions that are coming in, forgive me for not responding. Let me kind of backtrack here. Are there specific designs you'd recommend for doing your first tattoos? I would recommend just doing designs that are within your, I guess, comfortability and like within your style range, I would say. Shouldn't we have a relationship? Lonnie, of course, right after this, after that a 2 time. That called me a ton and do this change in the way people live. Y'all are wild. Okay, so you can see like right here, this isn't by any means perfect, but we'll fix it as we get there. We'll kind of go along the way here. My lines haven't been coming out the worst, but also not the best. I've been using a 5-round shader and then coming out. Yeah, if you're getting rake marks, it could be an issue with your hand speed to your voltage. Oftentimes people would think that it's pressure, but it's probably because you're moving too quickly. So like right here, this is an area that I wasn't really too happy with. What I'm going to do is go back and kind of just straighten this up a little bit right here. And I'm going to kind of repeat. Here's my A point to my B point. And thank you for all the kind words. I appreciate that, Lonnie. Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone that's joining me here this morning on this follow along. And then from here I can go ahead and get a mag when I'm ready and then kind of start packing from wall to wall, which I will explain here when I get there. And forgive me if I kind of move off frame, I'll constantly try to check on that. Same thing right here, I'm identifying my A point. I want to give my needle enough time to make it round so that way each line I deposit comes out in a clean and consistent manner. I'm going to want to be mindful of that same technique when I'm packing so that way we can't see the lines that we're applying right now. Slow and steady. I'm not going for perfection either. Like when I'm creating these tattoos with you all, I'm not thinking that I have to do perfect. I'm just thinking about how I can practically apply point A to B. Even this first line that I did, I can actually kind of, if I wanted, retouch it up as I don't feel like it's of the same standard to the neighboring lines. That's perfectly okay. I've even done that on human skin as well. Sometimes it can take us a little bit longer to fill out the skin that we're tattooing. Bear with me here. I'm definitely going to come back to the comments here in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to this area right here for those that are following along. Here's my A point, and then my B is going to be going down this way over here. I'm going back for some more ink here. Make sure that I'm comfortable. And then I find my A. And that's basically the A point is where I start, and then my B point, I'm already thinking about it, is where it's going to end. And I also think about how I'm going to end on that B point. Most of the time, 10 times out of 10, it'll always be with the taper. So that way, if I have to reconnect, the line doesn't have like little bulby ends and you can't see where I started or stopped. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to turn my face skin to accommodate the camera angle here for you all. For those who are wondering, I am using Inkeeze Ointment. Here's my A point. You can see I align my comfortability and my posture, aligning my hand speed and my voltage, trying to stay within the structural integrity of the design so that way I don't really fluctuate the width of anything too much. There we go. And that part is essentially done. From here I can kind of begin to apply that sort of same approach with these little detailed areas right here. So allow me to go back for some more ink. Identify my point A, which is going to be right here. Point B. And then all the way around. A point, and you're going to notice I'm going to say this throughout each and every line that I create, but that's because each and every line is pretty much the same. The only thing that changes is where I'm placing the line, and maybe even the direction on occasion. The direction of the line is also a very important variable that I'm considering. If you notice, I'm bringing them towards me because I feel most natural that way. So you also want to take that into consideration, whichever way you feel most natural. I also noticed too, when I set up myself, when I first started, I would also try to go for, I guess, perfection, which is an unrealistic expectation, I feel. I've never really seen a perfect tattoo, even with some of my favorite tattoo artists. There's always going to be minor imperfections and flaws, and we have to be okay with that. But I feel like as long as we know that we technically did as sound as we can, that's what we should aim for. And then every day you're going to see that that little area that we shoot for gradually increases, and so does the quality of our work. So from here, I can kind of continue with these other areas right here. I'm going to go ahead and do these, and then I'm going to kind of start packing in this area and then just kind of repeat. I'm going to finish these last ones, and I'm going to take a brief moment to respond to the comments. So if I'm not responding, please bear with me. So here's my A point. Making my way to my B point. Even my A points start with a taper in as well. So the idea is just to set the boundaries and line everything up, so that way the packing is a breeze. There was my A point. Making my way to the B point. Perfect. So as I've mentioned, mistakes will be made, but when we pack this in, we're not going to be able to tell. I'm going to go this way, and then kind of repeat this on this side, A to B. And again, even on my A points, I am doing little taper ins and outs, so that way we don't get like spotty or bulby ends. You want those sharp points there. It doesn't really matter what needle size we're using. And for this instance, I am using the Quelle 11 round liner. And a lot of what we see right now is definitely going to transform here in a moment. So my idea is to kind of demonstrate the process by aligning this, and then I'm going to go in and start packing it, and then show you that process and then repeat it with the rest. You're going to notice too, the imperfections that I make. I still think though, if we have that plan of approach and formulate our approach, then everything will kind of align accordingly, and you'll see how everything kind of falls into place. And if we do everything in a peaceful manner to the best of our ability, our tattoos will still read with a certain level of quality, which is what we want to shoot for. So we have this bottom half now aligned and done. I have those boundaries set. So from here, I can go ahead and start packing all of this in. I'm going to actually get a little rinse cup and place the needles in there, so that way they don't dry out on me. Let me take a brief moment here before we get into the packing to kind of answer some questions here as best I can. Let's see here. Well, there's a lot going on here. Let's see. I definitely won't be able to get to all of them. So real quick, first and foremost, everyone who's joining, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me here. Let's see. Problems. Well, there's actually a lot for me. I apologize, guys. I don't even know where to begin. What needle? I'm gonna start right here, I guess, with this one. Rhythmic Panda says, "What needle do you use to pack something like this?" That's a good question. The needle that I'm going to use to pack something like this is going to be an assortment. I don't really feel like there is a right or a wrong. I can use, for example, this right here. I have a Mast standard 13 round mag. I can use this and get the results that I'm looking for. I can even use something like this. For example, this is like a specialty needle. This is going to be an Inkclaw. This is going to be 5 3-round liners at the tip of this needle. That kind of makes it look like a mag, but it's actually just one row of 3-round liners here. For everyone joining, thank you very much. Thank you for the kind comments. I appreciate that, Pinky. Or let me see here. Yes, Pinky, I appreciate the kind feedback. I used a heat dryer to get the stencil down without fading and smearing or smudging on me. So for this area right here, I do feel confident using a little bit bigger of a needle. So I can use, let's say, for example, this 13 round mag right here if I'd like. I can kind of use the 13 round mag to pack in all of the black. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna use this Mast Pro 13 round mag. I'm still gonna run at the same voltage. If I have to, I'll probably take it down to 4 if I feel like I should. Forgive me for not keeping up with the comments. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for some ink, and then I'm just going to begin to use my packing technique to fill in this area. This is essentially going to be the approach that I'm going to take to finish the outline. So from a point right here, I'm going to create small circular motions like this until I get to my B point over here. So the A and B still apply, everything still applies, but the only thing that's changing is the technical application that I'm using to apply the technique that I'm looking for, which in this instance is going to be packing. So A to B all the way through. And I feel like this is important. Where I start right here, this right here is important because this is where we get that blend with those lines. So I'm not sure if you've ever seen packing, but when you pack, you can often see where you lined, and then you can see the packing. That's because the packing is a little bit lighter than the lining was, or that's how I look at it. And a way to go around that is by starting right here, making sure that we're going at a good depth, and then making small circular motions and then giving the needle enough time to reach that level of saturation. Just because there's more needles doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to cause more damage, especially if our technique is correct. It's capable of causing more damage because there is more needles, but it doesn't always mean that's going to be the default. So you can see that I'm getting clean, consistent packing, and I'm just going to kind of repeat this all the way on up. Right now, the voltage that I'm using is 4.5 volts on the Inkclaw Black Tortoise tattoo machine. So A and B, and then I kind of go back and forth just to kind of seal the deal. If I went over any areas or any areas were patchy, then that's what that last pass is for. I really think the magic is within these little small circular motions. It's not in the depth. I'm going to a good healthy depth, but the magic is within these little circles, making sure that they're consistent. And the next circle is going to be covering the last circle, if that makes sense. Because if I move a little bit faster, then I'm going to get blotchy results. So if you're getting blotchy, inconsistent results with your packing, you may be moving a little too fast. Don't focus so much on needle depth either when it comes to packing. It's more so giving the needle enough time to do its rounds while we're creating clean circular motions. I've even seen people just pack like this, where they just kind of go back and forth, and that works too. Just depends on how you want to approach it. So A point to B, A point to B. Then I'm going to kind of just repeat this all the way on up. Now, I remember we wobbled right here earlier, but once we start passing those areas, we're not going to be able to tell that certain mistakes exist, which is why I don't really get too worked up over mistakes that I'm making. Some mistakes are going to show, it just depends on which type of mistake we made. If you are making mistakes right now and you're not happy with your results, you got to just kind of stick with it and keep trying it. I kind of say this a lot in my Patreon follow-alongs, that there's no way around progress but through it. So from A point to B point, and you're going to notice that every time I move, it's pretty much the same as the last. The only thing that changes is I'm just simply working on a new spot of the design. So once you find your tempo and start with a certain tempo, you may want to stay there, especially if it's working for you. wall to wall. So A point, small circular motions until I reach my B point. A point, I'm going over the existing line that I just created, making my way over to my B point with small circular consistent motions. Let me go ahead and apply some ointment here generously so that way we can see if it's patchy or blotchy. Now I don't know what it looks like on camera, but hopefully you can see if there's any sort of inconsistencies there. Hey, congratulations on your tattooing journey, that's awesome. Hopefully you enjoy the process. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of keep going. Well, let me make sure that I'm on screen there. Okay. So from here, I'm going to start right here. Small circular motions. A point to B point. And I really want to make sure that I get from line to line. It's really important. So A point, small circular motions until I reach my B point. Same thing. And I'm using just the very tips of the needles, meaning I'm not driving it in there excessively. I'm feeling the needles, and once I feel that sort of bog that I'm in the skin, then I begin letting the needles kind of do the work for me. If I go ahead and wipe away, I feel like I'm getting clean, consistent results every time I apply this technique. Small circular motions, and I'm also not able to see the line in which I originally created. So that is a good thing. And I'm just going to kind of go up as much as I can here, because we still have to kind of line that and go from there. Just kind of wanted to show you the approach that I'm going to take here. If you want to, you can kind of line this. You can make it smaller and line it with round shaders if you'd like. If you made it larger, I would still approach it this exact same way. I think one thing for me that I like about this technique is that I feel like I have control over it, and I could just be in and out, kind of like a one-pass line, which for me is right at home. I would rather be in and out as opposed to having to go back over and over and over, risking overworking the skin. You see just small circular motions. There we go. Right here is a little area that I missed. I'm just going to go right back over it. And then continue right here. So here's a line, A point, small circular motions. You can see I'm kind of going over the existing area that's already been packed. And there's my B point, and then I'm going to repeat that over here. I don't think packing is as easy as some may assume or think. Packing is actually really technical. So from here, I'm going to do the same thing. Just reach the edge, as there's a little area that was patchy. So even at that, when you see that I acknowledge patchy areas, all I simply do is just go right back over it to make sure that it's not patchy anymore. It's pretty much the only practical solution. Let's see here. I'm going to try to answer some questions here. Forgive me for not being as active with the questions. I apologize. Good chief stencil. Let's see here. Just be. I feel the best app for an iPad. I use Procreate. That one, right, it's right at home for me. I think that's going to vary though from person to person. I think everyone's going to have a different opinion. But if I missed your question, I apologize. Kind of just keep asking until I see it. I'm going to be back and forth, so I may not see your question on time. But if you really want me to answer it, just please keep asking. I assure you, you're not bothering me or bugging me. I'm pretty sure other people may have similar questions. For those, if you sent any gifts or super thanks, I greatly appreciate it. For the thumbs up, I greatly appreciate it. For you even being here and giving me your time today, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some more ink, make sure I have adequate ink flow. I can have correct technique all live long day, but if I don't have adequate ink flow, then I'm not doing any good. So from here, I'm going to kind of repeat. Here's my A point. Small circular motions. I'm running at a really low voltage and I'm using just the very tip of the needle and getting to a certain needle depth. So this technique works for me. So what may work for me may not work for you. Let's say if you have like a heavier hand or you're used to running at a higher voltage, then doing this may be the exact opposite. So you really have to fine tune where you're comfortable and kind of adjust your hand speed to your voltage accordingly, and especially using different machines. Every machine is different. And then I'm going to kind of adjust here so that way I can still be on camera but get the correct angle that I need. Going back for some more ink. Here's my A point, making small circular motions over to my B point. And this is exactly how I'm going to go about getting a clean read, and it's going to look like one solid saturated piece with no lining. So there we go. Is anyone struggling right now with this follow along? How is your follow along coming out? Is anyone actually doing this follow along with me right now? A little spot that I missed, so I'm going to go back over it right now before I continue. And then over here, I'm going to tip my mag this way so that way I can get to this edge cleanly. And then I can go ahead and wipe away excess to see where I'm at. If there's any patchy, inconsistent results, I'm going to go over them right now. So from here, I'm going to do this last piece and then kind of continue with the remaining part. You're going to notice that I mentioned this already, but I'm going to say it again. You're going to notice that the technique doesn't change. The only thing that changes is maybe I'll tip my mag a little bit. Maybe I'll go ahead and kind of just sweep a little bit back and forth. But in terms of my tempo is going to stay the same. I'm not going to speed it up. This may take me a couple to a few hours to complete, but I am perfectly okay with that. I used to tend to rush when I first started too, and then I found myself spending twice as much time on tattoos that would have taken me otherwise maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at most. So one thing that I learned is just easier to technically apply a tattoo correctly from the jump. It goes by a lot smoother and quicker. So there we go. So this right here is the same flow that I'm going to use for the remaining part of the design. I did the outline and then now I did the packing. Smooth, clean, and consistent. I like the way that that reads. I'm going to proceed with the remaining part up here. I'm going to go back to the Quelle 11 round liner and kind of line it the exact same way. And then we'll come back to this needle right here that we just used, which was the Mast Pro 13 round mag. I'm going to take a quick moment here to address some comments. For those that are here with me, I truly appreciate it. It means a lot that you're here spending your morning here with me, or your night, your evening, whatever time it is where you're at. Thank you for spending these moments of your day here with me. I'm greatly appreciative. Excuse me there. Hey, that's awesome. That's a cool way to interpret it, Alan. I didn't look at it that way, but I'm greatly appreciated. Hey, thank you, Shroom Fairy. I appreciate the rose. Thank you for sending me the rose. I appreciate that. Thank you for the gift. That means a lot. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and grab some more wipes, clean this up, and then continue. One thing that I guess, the only thing that really, I guess, concerns me with this design is if I were to kind of line and then pack in the wrong areas. So you always want to constantly make sure that you're referencing the reference, so that way you're not packing in the wrong areas, like you don't accidentally pack in this area right here or something like that. So that's pretty much like the only concern, although that would be pretty hard. I feel it's still possible. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn to accommodate right here. And then I'm going to begin lining this area right here. So here's my A point. I'm bringing it around to my B point like this. I just feel comfortable lining it first because I get a smooth outline. I didn't feel confident enough to outline it with a mag and then get that smoothness of the outline. So therefore I had to apply this actual outer area with a line to capture that sort of smooth integrity, and then from there I can go ahead and just fill it in as you saw me do. That was my reasoning behind going with an 11 round liner first. And it's going to be the same thing on this area right here. So this line, it's going to go outlined as well. You're going to notice that each and every line that I create, I identify my point A. I make my way over to my point B while prioritizing my direction that I'm creating the line in, and my posture and positioning. All of that matters. Let me make sure that I am on frame here still. Let's see here. Okay, good. Just want to make sure that I'm on frame and I'm not tattooing off frame. So here's my A point. Make my way on over to B right here. There we go. And that same rule of thumb is going to apply where I can just start packing all of that in. But I'm going to do the surrounding areas first and align those before we continue with any sort of packing or any sort of color or anything like that. Since I'm right here, I'm going to start right here. Here's my A point. I'm giving my needle enough time to make rounds to deposit these lines in a clean and consistent manner. Just because these lines aren't going to show up in their final read, it doesn't mean that I don't want them clean. I still need these lines clean because I need these edges to be crispy and clean, so that way when the tattoo's done, it has the integrity that I'm looking for. So that's still important. So same thing right here. I'm going to taper in. Here's my A point. I'm going to bring this around to my B point, like so. Do the same thing with this area over here. Then I'm going to kind of backtrack and then do this area. Let me navigate here, and then I'll go back this way to the comment section. So that's my A point. Prioritize my posture, my position, my comfortability. And I'm going to bring my way back to my point B. I'm going to taper out right there just to kind of minimize any sort of mistakes or mishaps that can or may happen. I'm going to repeat that with the neighboring line right here. Bear with me. Scoot it a little bit over. There we go. And then I'm going to kind of turn this to accommodate my camera angle so that way I could still tattoo on camera here. Let me take a brief moment to kind of address any sort of questions anyone may have. Rhythmic Panda, may you elaborate for me? I'm not sure. Sorry, I haven't checked the TikTok live right now, until right now. Let's see here. It's crazy how expensive toolboxes are getting for basic things. Like, you mean like those metal toolboxes? Like the common ones that you see like in tattoo studios with like the drawers and stuff? I could be late to the conversation here. Oh, I get you, Rhythmic. Hey, I appreciate that. Those that are helping answer questions, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. All right, so let's go ahead and proceed here. It looks like the comment sections are doing all right without me here. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed to this area. So I'm gonna kind of do the same thing, but with this side. Fake skin to practice, there's quite a few. I think it's gonna be personal preference. Right now I'm using Trueskin fake skin. There's Trueskin, I love this one. I have an in-depth review on my YouTube channel. There's also Real Skin fake skin. So from here, I'm creating this line in a direction that I'm comfortable with and a taper out at the end. I'm just going to kind of dot this area right here because it's really tight. I'm just going to line this area because this has to be lined too. And then little by little, I can kind of see the tattoo start coming to life here. There we go, and then taper out. I'm going to bring it back this way. And then I'm going to kind of keep building up in this area right here. So I need to line this area next. Put some ointment on here. I think the only thing that's really important is making sure that we're paying attention to the design integrity and that we're making sure that we're placing the blacks in the correct areas. I think that's really of the utmost importance. Everything else kind of falls into place. Once we start packing in the black, so you can kind of see I'm working on this area because I feel most comfortable and I could already freely work over this area right here. So that's the reasoning behind me working this area right now. Let me wipe away so I can show you what I have here. Same thing, so here's my A point. Coming back this way. And here's my B over here at the end. Like so. Same thing this way. A point, B point. And you'll notice that my speed, like the speed that I'm moving my hand, pretty much stays the same. It doesn't really change at all. You gotta really trust the process here, especially with this sort of style of design. So I figured we're at a point where we can kind of just line everything and then we can go and pack everything in. For those that are helping answer questions, you are greatly appreciated. For those that are asking questions, you are also greatly appreciated. For those that are just spending their time here with me and just hanging out, you are also greatly appreciated. Thank you all. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and kind of continue working these areas. This area I have to be careful with because it needs to be sharp. I need that area to come down to a point, but I feel like I can also take care of it with this 11 round liner and not have to switch to another smaller needle. If I just use tapers out like that. So that's how I'm going to go about doing that middle area right there for those that are curious. So here we go this way. Then we're going to taper out that way. Same thing right here. If you pay attention to the sound too, it pretty much sounds identical to the neighboring line. And that's also a good indication that my hand speed and voltage and my needle depth are all pretty much the same each and every line that I create. Same thing right here. So that's an A point. And every time I do a line, I don't say it out loud because I don't want to annoy you all. But I always think A, and then right now I'm thinking B. That's my B point right there. And it's also important to remember that each and every A and B point that I make also have a taper in and out. That's also really important. And I do a taper in and out as to prevent any sort of bulby looking ends. I'm going to come around this way, commit to the line. Bring it around. And then taper out as best I can at the end here. Right around here. I'm gonna go ahead and adjust a little bit this way. And do the same thing. So here's my A point. Navigating over to B point. Just like that. So we're about like an hour into the stream now, and this is as far as I've gotten in the tattoo. Now, it's not something that bothers me at all. I just kind of am taking my time with it and trying to get the best results here. I'm not going for perfection either, and I feel like it's important to really exhaust that throughout this live stream, that I'm not by any means going for perfection, as I don't feel like that's healthy. I feel like going for the best of my ability is going to be what I'm striving for, because that's what I could offer. I'm going to bring this around this way. And then we're going to bring it back to taper in that way to the existing line, like so. Same thing right here. Taper in, taper out, taper in, I naturally always want to speed up my hand speed, but I kind of naturally know as well if I do that, then I'm not going to get a clean or consistent line, which is why I'm doing this. I need to have clean lines each and every time I create one. So over time I kind of start understanding that it's just not worth it to speed up. It's just quicker to do it right the first time. But that is definitely ongoing practice. There we go. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and repeat that with this area right here. Same thing over here. Small taper out, taper in, and taper out. Repeat that over here. This one already has a line, so I'm going to go back for some more ink. Taper in. And taper out. There we go. Now I'm going to do that once more and then repeat that with these other areas right here. My current voltage is going to be 4.5. That's what I'm using right now, 4.5. According to the machine though, we've been actually tattooing for 42 minutes. So I've done a little bit of talking in between. But we're at 4.5 voltages. I'm using the Inkclaw Black Tortoise tattoo machine. Forgive me for the delayed responses there. So from here, I have to make sure that I have adequate ink flow. I'm going to go ahead and kind of continue building this design here. 1 second. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm on camera here. So here's my A point. And then I'm going to navigate over to B. There we go. And that would be it for, I guess, the aligning aspect. From here, I'm going to do these last top parts right here, and then just do that a little bit of filling in right here on this part. I also want to fill in that area. Once I fill in that area, we're going to switch over permanently to the mags, because I don't need to go back to this round liner once we're done with it. I think that's how we're going to play that out. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and do these. I'm going to start on one side, and then I'm going to kind of work my way to the left this way. There we go. Same thing, so my A point. And then my B point is going to be right back pretty much where I started. Slow and steady. Running at 4.5 volts. I believe my stroke is either a 4-stroke or a 4.2. There we go. Two down, 3 more to go. Wipe away, see where we are at. The ink that, thank you Liz, I appreciate that. The ink that I'm using here is going to be Intense Formula 23. That's the ink that I'm using right now. So here's my A point, making my way over to my B point. And on a side note, if you kind of like this step-by-step format, I do have a Patreon where I have more episodes like this where we do all different styles of tattoos. And you also do get one-on-one support. You can message me with any questions that you may have. You could submit your tattoos for like tattoo feedback. There's also a group chat there for further assistance from like-minded individuals. My Patreon is available, so you may want to check that out. Let me readjust this right here. Patreon.com/Daniel Yuck. So that's an A point. Prioritize my posture, my comfort. Then I'm going to make my way on over to my B point. I'm using just the very tips of my needles, and I'm just giving my needle enough time to make rounds to be able to deposit the ink in a clean and consistent manner. That's the technique that I'm using here. I'm not overworking the skin or anything like that, as I'm not excessively driving the needle into the skin. Although this tattoo isn't by any means perfect that I'm doing right now, I do feel like it's coming out great, and I do feel like it's serving its purpose to get my points across here. I'm going to do this once again. So here's my A point. Bring this around. To my B point. Like so. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look here at everything, and if there's not anything else that I need to do with this needle, I am now ready to switch on over to the next phase. However, before I do that though, I personally need to go back in here and I want to fill out this little like tighter area. So I'm going to kind of do that real quick, using the exact same technique that I've been using with the mag, but just using a round liner. So I'm going to start from right here and then work my way from point A to B using small circular motions. All of this area is going to go filled in, and always make sure that you confirm the area that you're packing in. Like right now I kind of had a little jump scare because I thought that I was packing in the wrong area, but we're not. So always make sure that you're referencing and packing in the correct areas. If you mess up though, it's not really a big deal. Kind of find a way that you can go back and minimize that sort of mistake in the future. Especially if we're just starting, mistakes are really good. You want to make mistakes early on. So I think that right there is everything. I feel comfortable using that round mag for the rest of this. So from here, I'm going to switch on over to the round mag. Now the battery in my black Tortoise is also dying, so it may die here while I'm packing. I'm just going to kind of let it run out until it dies, and then I'll just switch out to a new battery. Let me clean this up here so I can see where we are at. Okay, so far so good. If anyone isn't, let me do this real quick. Okay, there we go. I had to kind of verify the live there. Forgive me for that pause. So thank you all for joining me. What do I use to wipe the skin? I'm using Inkeeze right now, but I typically use Vaseline to do so. But right now I'm using Inkeeze. Don't forget to thumbs up the stream. Thank you very much. Thank you for those who have sent me the gifts. Thank you for just being here. I truly appreciate that. Thank you for the support. So now I'm going to go ahead and pack in the rest of all of this black here. And go ahead and continue. Yeah, I agree. I have to triple check because I'm not trying to make those sort of mistakes. I'm sure I may even check again because I forget, or just because it makes me feel better. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just start right here. Since this design is closer to me this way, I'm gonna start that way and then just finish working my way on up. Same approach as I did earlier. Start on one area. I'm gonna create small, circular, consistent motions until I reach the other side like that. Same thing right here. If I do miss your questions, I'll go back and review like the chat later on once YouTube uploads the stream, and I'll go ahead and answer them there. Forgive me for not being able to get to everyone's questions. For those that are helping me answer questions, you are greatly appreciated. If you really want your question answered though, just keep asking me and I'll go ahead and see it here when I check in with you all. The same thing here. So here's my A point. You always want to make sure that you have adequate ink flow so that way you're depositing ink consistently and in a saturated manner with all of the needles. Because inadequate ink flow can also be a reason why we experience sort of patchy, inconsistent results. That's also why I did give two variations of this stencil. I gave one where it was already all packed in for us so we didn't have to do any guessing work, and then I gave one where it was a line like this for those that would rather approach it like that. So that's my A point to B point, A point to B point. And you can kind of see that I'm just in and out in these areas. I'm not having to go back over them too much at all, but I feel like that's contributed or that's directly related to my technique that I'm using to apply these areas. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and do these other two over here. I'm also trying to do this in a timely manner for you, so that way I don't take up too much of your Sunday, but without rushing and sacrificing quality, because I can't rush it and produce quality results. So A point, B point, all the way through. You can see that my circular motions are really, really tight, just small circular motions here. Like that. Same thing with this last one right here. And I feel like because I established the boundaries, like I lined it with the 11 round liner, it makes this part of the tattoo much, much easier to apply. So if I were doing this on fake skin, on real skin, this is exactly the same process that I'm going to take. Nothing is going to change. I'm going to apply it on human skin exactly like this, but just adjusting to the curvature where it's applied. There we go. So from here, I'm going to kind of continue packing these areas right here. Yeah, I agree, Rhythmic. Anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. There really isn't anything as a dumb question. Hopefully no one's being mean here or anything like that. Hopefully everyone's being welcoming. I appreciate those that are answering questions for me when I can't get to them. But yes, I really don't feel like there's any question that's dumb at all. Remember when I first started, I asked questions, and I did as much research as I could, so I completely understand where you're coming from. So here's my A point. I'm going to make my way on over to point B. And even right now, part of me is doubting that this area was supposed to go black. But even though I know it's supposed to be saturated black, part of me is still not too sure. Committing to the line, A to B, all the way through. I'm going to kind of turn this to accommodate the camera angle, but so that way I can still get this on camera for you all. I'm going back for some more ink so that we have adequate ink flow. A to B. Here we go, A to B. I used to really dislike packing when I first started, but after I started getting more technical with it and learning more and more about it, it ended up growing on me just like roses. I didn't really like floral and roses when I first started, but it's growing on me, and it's something that I actually enjoy doing. So A to B. So you can see I'm just tipping my mag over just to give it one last layer. Going this way to reach full saturation. And then I'm going to kind of continue with these other areas over here. I'm going to go back for some more ink so that way I have adequate ink flow. You can see I'm using my mag to my advantage there, and I'm kind of curving it this way, the same sort of shape as this design. So still small circular motion, still going from point A to B to complete each little part of this area here. A, small circular motions over to B. Same thing, A, small circular motions over to B. Like so. Same thing. A little bit of patchy right here, but nothing that another pass can't fix. I'm going to apply a generous amount so that way I can kind of see if there's any sort of patchiness going on. Let me know how yours is coming out for those that are following along with me. Let me know if this one's a more difficult design for you to do. So from here, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. And I'm going to start right around here. Then bring it this way, just because I feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. Same thing this way. Small circular motions. There we go. Now, I'm not entirely sure if we should do like the color in this same session or if we should break it down into multiple videos. Y'all let me know. Should we stick around and do the color on this one, or should we break it down into a couple of different videos and then do the color like maybe later on this evening? Let me know in the comment section down below. So as you can see, I'm using my mag to my advantage here, and all I'm doing is I'm curving the mag to the same shape as this right here, as you see, and then I'm going to create those small round circular motions while covering both A and B points simultaneously. I feel like that's just one of the many wonders of the mags. I would assume so, yeah. I'm sure most people pack in small circular motions. It really depends, because like I've even seen people pack like this where, I'll show you right here. Let me see if I can kind of demonstrate it. I've seen some people even pack like where they kind of go, actually there's a patch right here that I have to go back over. Where it's kind of like this, where they'll start and then they'll just literally drag their mag in like that. And you can kind of see they just kind of like pack it in like that, which is actually kind of effective if you do that a couple of times. If I just kind of do this, I'm not doing any circular motions. All I'm doing is kind of like drawing the line, the mag back and forth, and you can see I'm getting saturation there too. So I don't really feel like there's a right or a wrong. I just feel like it's wrong if you're applying your specific technique and then you're damaging the skin. But in terms of the technical application, you can kind of apply it however you'd like. I prefer to use small circular motions, but the technique that I just shared with you right now, that's not something that I'm against either, as that's a pretty fun technique to use too. Small circular motions, and it's important that I get line to line so that way I'm not experiencing any sort of patchiness and you can't see where my lines start and stop. From here, same thing. You can see this area didn't get saturated, so all I'm simply going to do is just practically go back and apply that area. And then I'm going to work this side right here just because it's a bit closer to me. Still running at 4.5 volts. For those that are curious, I did not change my voltage. I think I've only changed my voltage once from 4 volts to 4.5, and that was it. I stayed at 4.5 this entire session. Small circular motions. Okay. So for those that are around still, I appreciate you. Thank you for sticking around. I may end up breaking this session down based on like the response here. We may end up doing the packing of this outline, and then in the evening tonight, we'll go come back and do the color. So small circular motions all the way around. I'm really mindful with these sort of mags too, where I'm starting, because I don't want to start outside of the line and have those sort of blemishes showing up outside of the line, so to speak. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and apply some more ointment. So you can see this method, I turn my mag on the side. I'm using small circular motions to build up that way. Thank you, Lynn, for becoming a Patreon. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining the Patreon family. For those that are liking this sort of laid-back, real-time approach, I do have a Patreon where you can sign up, and I have many more episodes of follow-alongs like this. You can ask unlimited questions for your wants and needs. I have a community or group chat of other like-minded artists that are growing as well. Submit your tattoos for tattoo feedback to patreon.com/Daniel Yuck for those that are interested. So again here, small circular motions. There we go. I'm going to start right here, A point, and then make my way on over to B. I'll take a brief moment here and kind of go to the comment section and engage with you all here in a moment. All right. Says how I compensated for writing the tube back then until I watched it. Hey, I'm glad that you figured it out, Warlord. That's awesome. I'm glad that you figured out that. Let me know how y'all's is coming out. Let me know if you're not liking your design, if it's coming out blotchy. Let me know if you're experiencing any problems in this follow along here. For those that are still watching, thank you. I appreciate the support. Thank you for those that are liking. Thank you for those that are sending me super thanks and gifts. Needle for outline, it just depends. I don't really have a preferred needle for an outline. For example, this one here was done with an 11 round liner, and that one was a pretty good one. I feel like that was a good choice for this design. So I don't really have necessarily preferred needle. I prefer whatever needle is going to make my day easier when I'm applying the design. Oh no, I get you. Yeah, man, for me the heat gun's a must. I have to use it every time. Do you have any tips for saturating black like you were doing? Yeah, I can give you a tip right here while I'm live with you. So for me, how I go about saturating black, it's pretty much the same process that I've been using this entire time. Let me go ahead and clear this up here. So I'm going to identify my point A, which is this area. I'm going to make my way over to point B, and I'm running at 4.5 volts. I'm going to start, and I'm just using the very tip of the needle, and then you're going to start seeing me move in small circular motions using that tip of the needle, and that's pretty much it. It's exactly like that. The process really doesn't change, just the only area that I'm depositing the ink into changes. So right here, for a split second, I thought I was tattooing the wrong area, which is totally possible, but we'll just roll with the punches. So right here as well, you can see small circular motions from point A to B to accomplish optimal saturation. So A point, make my way on over to point B, A point, and make my way on over to point B. And that's going to be the entire process for that. Now, if I pick up my tempo, I'm going to start doing this, then you're going to notice the results that I get. So that's why I stay at a consistent tempo. That's a complete difference too. That's way lighter than what I am needing. So if once I start messing with that tempo and throwing that off, then you're going to start seeing the inconsistent results, and it's really going to show up within the work that I'm doing. I agree. Life has a lot of hiccups. Just keep moving front. Like, I made a lot of mistakes in this session here, but I'm not going to dwell or anything. So here's my A point, slow and steady. I'm using just the very tips of my needles because I'm not driving it in there because that's causing unwanted damage. I'm just simply identifying A point, small circular motions to my B point using the tips of the needle. I'm giving the needles enough time to make rounds to deposit the ink in a clean and consistent manner. So as you can see, small round circular motions from A to B, and repeat. It does require, I feel like this sort of approach requires more patience than anything, because I find myself constantly wanting to speed up. So if you can find a healthy tempo and kind of work diligently at that tempo, then you should be fine. Thank you, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you for the kind feedback. The same thing right here. I feel like we're going to go ahead and approach it this way, where I finish packing in this black here, and then we're going to break that down into one part, and then later on this evening, like around 6 or 7 Central Time, we'll come back and then add the remaining color, as I do want to finish this today. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of flip my fake skin. Thank you, Rhythmic, I appreciate that. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and identify my A point, small circular motions to my B point over here. Let me get a little bit more ink here. I really feel like the magic is within these circular motions. It's not even within the depth, like how hard or how deep we go. That's not as important as the time that we give for the needles to penetrate the skin and how much saturation we're giving the needles enough time to do. Because I could accomplish like optimal saturation just using the very edges of a needle. So point A, small circular motions to point B. There we go. And we're flying through this design here. I think tattoo time, we've been tattooing, according to the Black Tortoise, for 1 hour and 10 minutes exact right now. So doing this tattoo on human skin, I probably would have knocked it out maybe within like a 3-hour time span. Same thing right here. So at my A point, small circular motions to my B. And I'm sorry for annoying you all. If you heard me say this 100 times, I'm pretty sure I have. And I'm pretty sure I sound like a broken record. But I just feel like it's really important to exhaust that. That's really the process to accomplish the results that you see me get here. Doesn't really change too much. And then in the future, for future follow-alongs, I'm gonna give y'all more time. Like I'll probably start posting the stencils like maybe Wednesday or something, or maybe even on a Friday. I haven't really figured out all the last details, but I'm going to give you all a heads up, so that way you all can kind of adjust your schedule accordingly for those that want to participate in more future follow-alongs. So you'll have more time to prepare. This one was kind of like the last moment. And now I just need this last area over here, and that'll be it for the packing of the black. Nothing is going to change. It's still going to be just small circular motions from A to B. I do also have tattooing workbooks for those who are curious. Let's say if you're just starting out and you want to practice more, I do have workbooks available on Amazon. If you go to Amazon.com, type in Daniel Yuck. I have an assortment of various tattooing workbooks that are designed to help us assist, or that are designed to assist our development, whether we're learning lining, shading, packing, stippling. I have a new workbook based around learning statues and like realism. If you head on over to Amazon.com, type in Daniel Yuck, you'll see an assortment of tattooing workbooks, and you can use a tattoo machine and a ballpoint cartridge to make the most out of your practice. So you can see A, make my way to B here, A point, make my way to B. Same thing, A point, make my way on over to B. A point, on over to B. If you need to go back over a spot, like let's say if this area was a little patchy, then by all means go back over it. Use the same technique though. Just because it's patchy doesn't mean you need to drive more force. What that means is you just need to give the needle more time to deposit ink in those areas. Just like that. And I'm pretty sure this is probably putting a lot of you all to sleep just because of how, I guess, simple and basic the application is. And for that I apologize, but this is the raw process, the raw application process here. And this is, I guess, the exact process that I take if I was doing this on human skin. And then right here, small circular motions until we reach the end over here. There we go. I'm going back for some more ink so that way I can deposit this last area with good ink flow without causing too much damage. Make sure that I'm on camera. Elena, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. How I know I'm getting close to the line is I'll kind of just like see the edge of the mag right here. I'll keep my eye on it, and then I can see it right there. I'm not sure if you see that, but the needles create this sort of line there. So I use that as my guide, and then I start creating, when I see that line, I start creating those small circular motions. But that's how I do that. That's how I keep my eye on the right deposit areas. Which is why whenever you see, like, whenever I pull up excessively, I'll stop before I apply and remove the pulling so I can see where my needle is at and what it's doing. And then once I get into the right spot, I just simply commit by creating small circular motions and then making my way on over to the left. Same thing with this one. I don't really feel like packing is about pressure or even lining. It's not about how much pressure you drive. It's about how much time you're willing to give the needle to do what it needs to do, which is make enough rounds to deposit the ink in a clean and consistent manner. So I'm starting right here. Circular motions until I reach point B. And repeat all the way through. If there's any patchy areas, I just simply go back over them. I'm not really necessarily focused on trauma or thinking about it too much, just because my technique is to work off of the tips of the needles. From here, according to the Black Tortoise, it says that we've been tattooing for about 1 hour and 18 minutes. So it took 1 hour and 18 minutes to apply this part of the design right here. Let me go ahead and thoroughly put some ointment on here so that way we can take a look at it, and then we can actually come back to the color later on this evening, so that way we're not here until like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Probably come back around maybe 7, 8, 9 Central Time. Let me go ahead and get a fresh wipe here. So this is what I am working with. These are the results that I got. Now, I don't really notice any sort of like patchiness or anything like that. Yeah, of course, you're welcome. So as of right now, I feel like this is going to be a really good place to kind of conclude this session. Although I am going to hang around for a few more moments, engage with you all and answer questions as best I can. I am going to come back tonight so that way we can finish the color portion of this tattoo. We still have to add color. We're going to be doing some like brown, some gold, and some red, and that will be done tonight. I am in Texas, and right now where I am, it is 12:07. It is noon. So I'm probably going to come back anywhere from 7, 8, or 9 tonight Central Time, and then we're going to do the color portion. So for this, I feel like this is a great place to conclude. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. Yeah, gold and red are going to be awesome. Let me actually, I can show you real quick. 1 second. Let me show you what it's going to look like today when we are done. So this is what it's going to look like later on once we've completed it. I'm not sure if you can see that there. That's what it's going to look like later on right here. And that's what it looks like right now. So far, so good. It's coming out and going according to plan. The colors that I'm going to be using are going to be this golden yellow for this top part. This is going to be this crimson red for the red areas. And then for that darker tone, we're going to do caramel. If you don't have color, you can follow along using a gray wash system if you'd like. You don't have to use color. If you don't have those colors that I just showed you available, you can also use your own colors and use your own color system if you'd like. That's also okay too. Hey, thank you, Joe. I appreciate the heart. Thank you for sending me the gift. I'm greatly appreciative of that. Thank you. Took me off guard there. But yeah, so those are the colors that I am going to be using later on. When this video is done and uploaded to my YouTube channel, what I'm going to do is put all the links of the gear that I use in this video in the description, so that way you can check it out. Yeah, I'm using a blue paper towel right here in the back. This is just my table, and then a blue Scotch Soft white paper towel. Yeah, it's a paper towel under the Trueskin. That is correct. Is that what we were talking about in the chat a little while ago? That's funny. So yeah, that's basically what it's going to look like. Alana, how do I stop ink flooding? Because when I practice, it floods a lot and I can't see. So when you do that, the best way to do that is instead of dipping your whole needle tip into your ink cap, just literally dip the needles that are hanging out, just put the needle tip in the ink cap and not the plastic part. If you just do the needles, then you'll withdraw and pull in a good amount of ink. It's probably because you're over filling up your tube. If you're overfilling your tube, every time you place it down, it's always going to pool. So just pull in ink using just the very tips of your needles. I actually have a full in-depth video about that specific topic on my YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube channel, you type in ink pulling or splatter, you should see that video pop right on up. This has definitely been a fun session. I've been live here with you all for 102 minutes. It is Sunday noon where I am located. It's probably a different time for you where you are at. Now, if anyone has any questions, again, please feel free to comment as I hang out for a bit longer here with you. If not, I'll go ahead and conclude this stream here within a few moments. And then tonight I will be going live again for the coloring part. It's actually been a lot of fun. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you all feel this came out. Do you all like the way that mine came out right here? Do you feel like it needs a little bit more work? If you stuck around the entire session, for those that did, you'll know that I did make a lot of mistakes along the way. So this is not by any means perfect at all. Is anyone going to come back for the color portion tonight? For the color portion follow along? Let me know if you are. Let me know when a good time is to go live as well. I'll definitely be open to, changing time frames to accommodate those that want to join me. I love stencil stuff. I switched from, yeah, I'm hoping to. Okay, that's awesome, Rhythmic. I switched from stencil stuff to stencil prep. William, you will. Thank you, William. I will after 6 p.m. Okay, if it is 12 noon where I am, what time is it where you are at, Alan? Hey, Justin, it's always good to have you, man. I'm Central. Yeah, me too. I'm Central. I think I'm Central. I'm in Texas. Forgive me if I'm wrong there. I could be. I'll try. Gene says I'll try. Thank you, Gene. Yeah, that's all I can ask. Okay, I feel like this is a good place to conclude this stream. Now, I do hope that you all can take something and benefit from this live stream. I'm genuinely appreciative for the time that y'all giving me here on this Sunday. Clean. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that, Hamilton. Thank you for the feedback. He would be like 1 p.m. Okay. Yeah, so all in all, this was a fun stream. I'm glad that I was able to spend it with you all. I'm sorry that I didn't get to engage with you all as much as I wanted, simply just because I was taking care of the technical aspect and trying to focus on that and giving you all the most there. So be sure to come back later on, as we are going to be doing the coloring aspect of this follow along. If you have any questions, please drop them in this video below. The stream will be uploaded to my YouTube channel for those that want to start this follow along later on. This will be available for your consumption. Now, once again, thank you for spending your day with me here this morning. I appreciate each and every one of you. You all have a great morning. I'll see you all later on.